Debt. It's the lifeblood of our modern economy. But what if I told you it's also a tool? A tool used by the financial elite to maintain control. Think about it. When you're drowning in debt, you're not free, you're trapped. Living paycheck to paycheck, unable to pursue your dreams. Stuck in a cycle of working to pay off interest. This isn't about blaming individuals, it's about understanding the system. A system where easy credit and predatory lending practices keep people trapped. Like a hamster on a wheel, we keep running but never getting ahead. The elites, they understand this game. They profit from our debt while we struggle to stay afloat. It's time to wake up and see the chains for what they are, chains of debt designed to keep us down. Let's talk about you, the daily grind, the constant hustle, the never-ending race to keep up with life's demands. It's exhausting, isn't it? You wake up every day trying to make sense of the chaos, trying to find a way to balance it all. Student loans got you feeling like you need a PhD just to understand the interest rates, the fine print, the confusing terms, the ever-growing balance. It's overwhelming. You took out those loans with the hope of a brighter future, but now they feel like a dark cloud hanging over you. Credit card debt creeping up faster than your last Instagram post? You're not alone. Every swipe, every purchase, it all adds up. And before you know it, you're buried under a mountain of debt with interest rates that seem to climb higher every month. We're bombarded with messages telling us we need the newest phone, the biggest house, the shiniest car. Advertisements are everywhere, convincing us that our worth is tied to our possessions. It's a never-ending cycle of wanting more, needing more, and spending more. Buy now, pay later, they shout. But at what cost? The allure of instant gratification is hard to resist. But those deferred payments come with a hefty price tag. The interest piles up, and suddenly that great deal doesn't seem so great anymore. Take payday loans, for example. They promise quick cash when you're in a bind, but the reality is far from the rosy picture they paint. Need a quick $500? Easy, but what they don't tell you is that the interest rates are astronomical. You end up paying back double, sometimes triple the amount you borrowed. But those sky-high interest rates, they'll keep you paying back way more than you borrowed. It's a vicious cycle. One loan leads to another, and before you know it, you're trapped in a web of debt that's nearly impossible to escape. The average American household has over $8,000 in credit card debt. That's not just a number, that's real families struggling to make ends meet. It's parents worrying about how to put food on the table, how to pay for their children's education, how to keep a roof over their heads. That's not just a number. That's real families struggling to make ends meet. It's a constant battle, a daily struggle to stay afloat in a sea of financial obligations. We're sold a dream of prosperity, but the reality is a debt trap, carefully designed to keep us financially insecure. It's a system that preys on our desires, our hopes, and our dreams, turning them into tools of financial enslavement. But remember, you're not alone in this struggle. Together, we can find a way out. Now let's zoom out. From your wallet to the nation's balance sheet. The U.S. national debt, it's over $30 trillion. That's trillion with a T. It's like trying to pay off a credit card bill the size of Mount Everest. And who's stuck holding the bag? Future generations, our kids, their kids. This massive debt cripples our ability to invest in education, healthcare, and infrastructure. It weakens our global standing and makes us vulnerable to economic shocks. But hey, at least the military budget keeps getting bigger, right? Who needs affordable health care when you can have another drone strike? We're mortgaging our future, all while the elites continue to hoard wealth. Speaking of hoarding wealth, let's delve deeper into the growing chasm between the rich and the rest of us. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the ever-widening gap between the rich and the rest of us. This isn't just a statistic, it's a reality that affects millions of lives every day. The top 1% controls more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. Let that sink in. This disparity isn't just a number. It's a reflection of a system that favors the few at the expense of the many. While we're struggling with student loans and credit card bills, trying to make ends meet, the ultra-wealthy are living in a completely different world. The ultra-wealthy are buying yachts and private islands, indulging in luxuries that most of us can only dream of. Their lives are filled with opulence and excess. And how do they do it? They have access to opportunities and resources that are out of reach for the average person. They invest in stocks, real estate, and businesses, multiplying their wealth exponentially. By benefiting from a system rigged in their favor, they ensure that their wealth continues to grow. They have the power to influence policies and decisions that shape our economy. They pay lower tax rates, exploit loopholes, and use their financial clout to avoid the burdens that the rest of us face. This isn't just unfair, it's a systemic issue that needs addressing. They use their influence to shape policies that benefit them, not us. This creates a cycle where the rich get richer and the rest of us are left to struggle. It's a tale of two Americas, one drowning in debt, the other swimming in champagne. This stark contrast is a glaring indicator of the inequality that plagues our society. While some are celebrating with expensive champagne, others are struggling to keep their homes. The disparity is not just financial, it's a matter of quality of life. And guess who gets bailed out when the system crashes? It's the wealthy, the ones who have the means to weather any storm. They get the lifelines while the rest of us are left to fend for ourselves. Hint, it's not the single mom working 3 jobs to make ends meet. It's not the families struggling to put food on the table. It's the wealthy elite who continue to thrive. It's time to call out this injustice and demand a system that works for everyone. We need to stand together and push for policies that ensure fairness and equity for all, not just the privileged few. The debt drag economic consequences of excessive borrowing. Here's the thing about excessive debt. It's not just bad for individuals, it's a ticking time bomb for the entire economy. When people borrow more than they can afford to repay, it creates a ripple effect that impacts everyone. It's terrible for the entire economy. The financial system becomes strained, and the stability of markets is jeopardized. Think of it like a giant weight holding us back from reaching our full potential. This weight drags down economic growth, stifles innovation, and limits opportunities for everyone. When individuals are burdened with debt, they have less money to spend on goods and services. This reduced spending power means businesses suffer, leading to lower revenues and potential layoffs. They have less money to spend, which means businesses suffer. Small businesses in particular feel the pinch as they rely heavily on consumer spending to stay afloat. When governments are drowning in debt, they have less money to invest in essential services, which hurts everyone. Public services like education, healthcare, and infrastructure take a hit, affecting the quality of life for all citizens. They have less money to invest in essential services, which hurts everyone. Underfunded schools mean poorer education for our children, and under-resourced hospitals lead to longer waiting times and inadequate care. High levels of debt can also lead to inflation, making everything more expensive. As the cost of living rises, people's purchasing power diminishes, creating a vicious cycle of financial strain. Remember that $10 burger you used to love? Well, with inflation driven by excessive debt, get ready to pay $15, and that's just the beginning. Everyday items become luxuries, and families struggle to make ends meet. Thanks to the debt drag, we're all caught in a financial trap. It's a burden that affects our mental health, our relationships, and our overall well-being. It's a vicious cycle that traps us all. We work harder and harder just to stay in the same place, like running on a hamster wheel with no end in sight. We need to break free from this debt-fueled hamster wheel. It's time to rethink our approach to borrowing and spending and focus on sustainable financial practices and build a more sustainable and equitable economic future. By working together, we can create a system that benefits everyone, not just a select few. Let's aim for an economy where prosperity is shared and debt no longer holds us back. Breaking free strategies for personal debt reduction. Okay, enough doom and gloom. Let's talk solutions. First up, tackling your own debt. It can feel overwhelming, but even small steps can make a big difference. Start by creating a budget and tracking your spending. Identify areas where you can cut back. Negotiate lower interest rates with your creditors. Consider debt consolidation or balance transfers to simplify your payments. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are resources available to help you, like credit counseling services and debt management programs. It's time to take control of your finances and break free from the debt cycle. National solutions tackling the debt mountain. Now for the big one, tackling national debt. This requires a multi-pronged approach. We need to get serious about responsible spending and prioritize investments in education, infrastructure, and renewable energy. We need to close tax loopholes that benefit the wealthy and ensure that corporations pay their fair share. And maybe, just maybe, we need to rethink our priorities. Do we really need to be the world's police force? Can we afford these endless tax cuts for the rich? It's time for some tough choices and a commitment to fiscal responsibility. Reclaiming economic power. This isn't just about numbers on a balance sheet, it's about our future, our freedom, our ability to build a just and equitable society. We need to challenge the narrative that debt is inevitable. We need to demand transparency from our elected officials and hold them accountable for their spending. We need to educate ourselves and others about the dangers of excessive debt and the importance of financial literacy. This is a call to action. Let's reclaim our economic power and build a future where debt no longer holds us hostage. Securing our future. A world without debt chains. Imagine a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, regardless of their zip code or background. A world where education is affordable, healthcare is accessible, and the pursuit of happiness isn't hindered by crippling debt. This is the future we must fight for. It won't be easy. The financial elites won't give up their power without a fight, but together we can break the chains of debt and create a more just and equitable world for ourselves and future generations. Let's make it happen.